Welcome to The Short Score, your weekly update of roping news from around the industry, where you can find the latest on the sport from the pro rodeo ranks to the jackpot world. I'm Taylor Vollen, and I'm your host. Happy Tuesday, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of The Short Score. I'm your host, Taylor Vollen. I hope you all had a great weekend and a great Father's Day on Sunday. On today's episode, you're going to hear from Kolby Krieger, who's currently sitting number 4 in the Resistol rookie heading standings, but first, some pro rodeo results from over the weekend. Eric Rogers and Paul Eves won the Strawberry Days Rodeo in Pleasant Grove, Utah with a 4 flat, bringing in $2,365 each. In Newtown, North Dakota, Bubba Buckaloo and J.R. Gonzalez split the win with Braden Puring and Jade Nelson with a 5 flat, all taking home $2,312. At the Buffalo Bill Rodeo in North Platte, Nebraska, Clay Holtz and Matt Zancanella were a 5.1 to win $3,024 each. In Big Spring, Texas, Clayton Eggers and Joshua Smitherman were 4.7 seconds to win $2,832 each. And in El Paso, Texas, Tyler Waters and Seth Hall were 6 flat to both win $1,210. Now it's time to hear from Lillian Kent, our junior Western digital content producer's conversation with Kolby Krieger on how the rookie race is shaping up, his partnership with Rich Skelton, and just kind of how the year looks.
Well, just to start out, how long have you or your family known Rich?
Actually, we really haven't. I called him probably a month ago. Right? I called him about 2 weeks before Corpus Christi, right when the books opened and everything was ready to be entered down there. And the guy I was supposed to rope with, his brother was going to be able to get in, so I actually was without a partner, and I got on who was qualified, the top 40 teams, and Rich was one of the last guys without a partner, and he was kind of my top pick of the last guys that wasn't teamed up already.
Okay.
So I gave him a call, and he said that he actually didn't have a run and was kind of unsure if he was going or not. And he said if he had the chance to rope with me, he would go down there. I said, well, let's go.
So it kind of happened out of a chance, not really like this like meticulous plan.
No.
That is wild.
He actually, so I roped with Boogie Ray last summer, kind of after the 4th. We roped at St. Angelo and went to a couple and then picked back up after the 4th. And him and Boogie are pretty good buddies, and he called Boogie after I called him to go down there to Corpus and asked a little bit about me, and he kind of offered me a deal. He's like, well, why don't you come down here and do a little circuit rodeo on this year? And I hate to say it, but I kind of told him no. I said, I got a pretty good partner right now, and we're getting ready to go for, like, Guyman and stuff like that. I said, if I can have a pretty good win, I'd like to kind of keep going. He goes, well, I respect that. He goes, well, if something changes, you want to ease down here this summer, let me know. And so we kind of ended it at that. And then
that's what you said to Rich? You turned Rich.
Yeah.
Rich wanted to circuit rodeo, and you said you wanted to go for the big bucks.
Yeah. And then he called me back. He said, well, he goes, I got a couple practice horses down here, and he goes, we can do a lot of roping, and I didn't win that trip. And I said, I'll tell you what, I'll come down there. So I only had one horse at the time, and I was like, well, it'd be nice to give her a little break and let me be able to work on roping too at the same time.
Yeah, when was that?
That was kind of going into Guyman. Like we went to the rookie roundup and stuff like that, and went out there for that week. And I went to Guyman with a different partner. I went to Kansas City and the rookie roundup and Guyman and Oklahoma, a couple of rodeos up there with a boy named Bo Yazzie.
Okay.
And that's who I actually started the year out with him. I was living with him. And we had went up there to Denver to the qualifier and had a lot of luck and rodeoed up until Duncan, Oklahoma was our last rodeo, and then I drove all night from Duncan and got down here to Riches, and we rode the night before Corpus and went to Corpus again.
Okay. And why did you and Bo decide to part ways?
Honestly, really, I didn't have enough horsepower. I had one horse that I wasn't getting to practice much. He was having to go other places and practice, and I didn't really feel like I was on the top of my game. I was going to the rodeos on the weekend, in the morning, weekend, and I'm a perfectionist. If I don't run 20 or 30 a day, I don't feel like I got any better or even warmed up.
Yeah. So, are you riding one of Rich's now?
I'm riding mine right now. I've been practicing on some of his, but actually coming up, I think I'm actually going to take one tonight of this guy named Gary McKinney. He owns and runs Reliance Ranch.
Oh, wow.
And, we've been going over there and roping with him a bunch and got to know him pretty well, and he kind of watched me ride some and has given me an offer to ride some of his horses, and it's gonna be pretty awesome. They're a totally different animal than I've ever stepped foot on.
So it's kind of wild. You went from, I wouldn't call it a low point, but just not being where you wanted to be and kind of stepping back from another partnership to getting set up with Rich and practicing with him, and now you're meeting this like next level of people.
I'll have to say it's been a very crazy year. I was living in Stephenville, Texas, and I was shoeing horses to try to go to the rodeos on the weekends, and I'm 21 years old and was trying to pay for everything. I was doing everything through shoeing horses.
Yeah.
And I was going to the rodeos and I was struggling. I was in a pretty low point. I wasn't getting to practice and stuff, and I've always been a believer in God, but there's a lot of times when things go good, it's easy to not be grateful. And it was kind of a big changing point in my life, and I was struggling. I was doing bad. I had missed a bunch of steers, and I was getting down on myself pretty hard.
Yeah.
I was driving. I was going broke. I was struggling as bad as you can struggle, and I was down. And I got down and I started praying hard. I made sure every night I was thanking for what I had, what I was able to do. And
at that point, when you're really going through it, what made you think that it was going to get better?
Well, I didn't know that it was going to get better. That's why I started praying hard, and it didn't feel like it was getting better for a couple of weeks. And then whenever Rich called me and offered me to come down here and all that, it was kind of an eye-opener, like, wow, maybe this is where it's supposed to get better. Maybe the spot needs to go.
Yeah.
So it's one of the deals I kind of had to thank on what I was doing, because I had a full clientele of horses to shoe in Stephenville, and for me to just pack up and leave it, go to somewhere where I had not any horses to shoe. That was a hard move and a hard decision to make, just because of me supplying and living off of what horses I shod, just to go and not have any.
Yeah, it's a big leap.
Yeah, and I moved to Stephenville, and I've been there going on 3 years now. So that's kind of what I considered home. And just to say, hey, I'm leaving home and gonna go move in with Rich Skelton. I mean, that's something crazy and something I never thought I'd say.
Yeah.
I didn't have to think about.
Yeah. Where's Rich's place?
Llano, Texas.
Okay, nice. So
it's only it's like 2.5 hours from Stephenville.
Okay. And
so I was going back and forth a little bit to kind of keep up and finish off. I didn't want to leave my clients high and dry. They've been too good to me, so I've made some trips back to go and make a little money and go shoot. But
yeah,
it was definitely a hard move.
For sure. So we talked about how your rodeo mentality was kind of survival mode. Let's see what money I can make, and how Rich's mentality was, we're not going until we can win it or win a check.
Yes, he's big on be ready at the house, and he knows what to be ready for. To where me, I would rope at the house that week and ride my one good horse. I'd run 3 or 4 steers on her that night, and it's like, well, that's what I got, so I'm ready, I guess. I was unsure of what to be ready for, and I didn't even know it.
Yeah.
To where I get here, and he's like, well, here's what the setup's going to be, and I'm like, it's kind of funny, because I'm like, how do you know? Like, I guess you've been there, 20 times now, so I guess that's how you know, but I mean, he can practice for every setup just because he knows what it's already like.
Okay. And how hard was it for you to adjust from going all the time to only going when you're ready?
It was dang sure weird because I didn't I'm very repetitive. I gotta do something a lot to figure it out. And living in Stephenville, I was jackpotting every day, just maybe eat lunch, maybe not, because I want to go jackpot. And
did you say maybe eat lunch?
Yeah, maybe eat lunch, maybe not. Who knew?
Yeah.
And to come down here and sit here and get prepared for everything, in your mind it's like, well, I haven't competed, but then when you get to the rodeos and you do good, it's like, I was ready for that.
Yeah. So other than the practicing at home part of it, what else have you really picked up since spending time with Rich?
Just what a mentality he has. He has such a good mentality on even when it goes bad. I mean, we've had some tough luck at some rodeos already. I haven't done my job, and he's messed up. We're human, and he's pretty dang good at keeping his head up. The first thing he wants to do is go break it down and fix it. And that's been, I get upset. I take me messing up pretty hard. I hate it to be my fault. And I get pretty down on myself, and it's been pretty cool that even whenever I do a bad job, he still has my back. Yeah,
that's awesome. And then tell me about the mare you're riding.
So she's a 6-year-old mare. I bought her the end of last summer. I picked her up in May last year. Me and a buddy were going to partner on her, and I was going to ride her and do some training on her. She had been started roping, but just pretty slow started. I mean, she knew the pattern, and I took her, and I was rodeoing pretty hard last summer and was going quite a bit. So really and truly, I had a practice horse. I was going slow on her, but I was also getting roped for myself some too. So I didn't really just sit down and was like, hey, this is going to be my next horse. I got to put the time in her. I was just taking my time, and I was breakawaying and heeling on her as much as I was heading on her.
Oh, that's cool.
Just trying to see where I could make money on her in the end of the year. And I was riding a horse last summer that was actually an outside horse. A boy named Tyler Freeman owns him out of Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
And I was riding him all summer. I'd put 60 days of riding on him, and then my good horse had gotten hurt, so I pretty much said, I need a horse. And he was awesome enough to let me ride him for the rest of the summer and pretty much get free training on his horse.
Yeah.
And I rodeoed on his horse. I rode him at the American semifinals, and I think that was his, like, third rodeo ever.
Wow.
Third time behind the rope barrier, and I took him all the way to Cheyenne. I mean, the horse done awesome, but going into the end of the year, he's like, well, I'm ready to start roping, so I had to send his horse back.
Yeah.
I was without a horse, so I was entered in some rodeos after I took his horse back, and I said, well, I'm going to try this yellow out.
Okay.
And I took her to some rodeos, and the first rodeo we went to, me and Boogie Ray won second on her. I was like, well, she worked.
Yeah.
I mean, I put her through a caution tape at the house, but that's never been through a rope barrier, and took her to the rodeo and placed on her. I was like, well, that was fun.
You're like, the pieces are there.
So I started taking her, and that was, we started in Louisiana with the first rodeo, and I think that was in like October, November.
Okay.
And I think it was like her fourth or fifth pro rodeo she'd ever been to was the Denver qualifier. And we were fortunate enough to win both rounds and win the average on her out there.
Wow.
So she just come so far so fast.
So, what are you doing right now to make sure that she stays happy and knows her job while still getting more seasoning on her?
I still work on her. There is some spots where she is still a little green.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing on her is she's pretty laid back. Everything I do is to keep her going faster. She's pretty okay with going at a slow pace.
Okay.
She likes to ease around. And it's kind of crazy. I've never had a horse like this before, but I try not to score many on her.
Okay.
Because in the everyday situation, I could run 10 steers in a row on her back in there and not ask her to leave the box, and she's perfectly fine with it, and she won't.
And then you can't get her to run when she needs to.
Yeah, and I mean, it's me asking her the whole time. She's pretty okay with just hanging out.
Okay. And
it's a lot of keeping her free and running and keeping her opened up, because she's the first one. She's ready to go fast. She's okay with it. She's ready to let you throw your whole rope and go right around the flagger. So it's a lot of keeping her pushed forward and keeping her as forgiving as possible at the rodeos.
Nice. And is she still your main horse, or are you going to start riding more Reliance Ranch horses?
So she's still my main at the faster setups, at the shorter scores. It's almost impossible to beat her. She's so flat, so forgiving. Just lets me just lean over the front of her and throw my rope at them. And then we're going to start taking the Reliance horses to all the longer start rodeos, to where it's not going to be me having to use my rope. I'm going to be able to use a horse.
Nice. Okay. So, just to kind of wrap up, tell me where you and Rich are headed next, and what are you hoping for?
Well, we went to Big Spring, Texas last night, and we were able to win second.
Nice.
Over there, so that was a good win that we needed, and it kind of helped me in the rookie standings, put me back in fourth again.
Okay.
So it sure helped me there. But we're going to kind of do some amateur rodeoing right here for the fourth. We're going to stay pretty close.
Okay.
Some amateur rodeos and kind of just get some horses lined down, and honestly and really try to make the circuit finals. That's kind of the main goal. Try to make the amateur finals right here and make the circuit finals.
And so Rich kind of talked you into the circuit deal?
Yeah, I claimed the Texas circuit, which I'm glad I did now. But we're going to try to do that just for a head start on the year. Next year he's made the comments a couple times. He's like, I sure wouldn't mind making the finals again. So
that would be really cool.
We're gonna go and try to make the circuit finals to where we can count it and have a chance at a good amount of money at the very beginning of the year.
Yeah.
And we're going to go to all the qualifiers we can to try to get into all the bigger rodeos and kind of get ourselves set up for
Okay.
the deal next year.
All right. Sounds like he's got you thinking a little bit more strategically.
Yeah, he wants to make money.
Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. And don't forget, any Resist Our Rookie updates, top 15 updates, and circuit updates that you guys are looking for, you can find at the Team Roping Journal. So make sure you guys are keeping up with our social media.